is August 28, 2021, and I am here with Debbie Bush. My name is Deborah Hendricks from the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program at the University of Florida. Welcome, Debbie, and thank you so much for speaking with us today.
You're welcome, not a problem.
First of all, we're going to get you to say your name and spell it for the camera.
Okay. My name is Deborah Bush. It's Deborah Bush.
Okay. Thank you very much. And so can you tell me the name of the person you lost?
Marquise Jones. He was my nephew.
That's the relationship. He was your nephew.
Yes.
Okay. Wait just a second. Oops. Lots of questions. All right. Hold on a second. We'll edit this out. Hold on. Here we go. And for the record, the date the killing occurred?
February 28th, 2014.
And do you know who he was killed by?
Yes, San Antonio Police Officer Robert Encina.
And this was Texas?
Yes.
San Antonio, Texas?
Yes, ma'am, San Antonio, Texas.
All right. And can you describe what happened to him? Was he prosecuted?
No, he was not. We tried to get the case reopened, but because they said there was a questionable gun that they fingerprinted and dusted for fingerprints and DNA was 2 years after the death of Marquise. They would not reopen the case. The pressure that was put on him by myself and Reliable Revolutionaries and other organizations in San Antonio, he resigned from the police force. But that's not enough for us. I want him indicted and I want him charged with the murder of my nephew.
Would you like to tell us the story of how he was shot or how he was killed?
Yes, ma'am. He was with friends, his cousin and his sister. They went out to play pool and decided to go to Chacho's and Chaluchi's to get something to eat. The driver of the car hit the car in front of them in the drive-thru. Basically not hit, but just bumped the car. Both drivers got out and were talking about it. Well, the drive-thru person decided to bring out the Officer Robert Encina, who was security at the time at the restaurant. And he came out and immediately grabbed Marquise's friend, slammed him on the hood of the car, and handcuffed him. Well, Marquise at that time, he was on probation, and we found out after his death that he had gotten into an altercation 2 weeks prior with Robert Encina before Robert Encina killed him. Marquise lived only like a block away, and he decided to get out of the car and go home because it did not involve him. Instead of him saying, "No, sir, you need to stay where you are," whatever the protocol is, he didn't say anything. He pulled his weapon, fired at Marquise 9 times with one bullet, striking him in the back, and Marquise was dead before he hit the ground. He told the eyewitnesses, he was going to each eyewitness, did you see him gun? Didn't you see a gun? And everybody said no, and he proceeded to tell them to leave the scene. There have been multiple threats on those witnesses up to our civil trial, to where they had to, I forget, my brain is scrambled right now. They had to take them into protective custody in order to get them to testify because of the threats and everything that they received with Marquise's case. But even though they've said no, there's no statute of limitation on murder, and we will continue to fight. I will continue to fight until the death of myself, because this is something I promised my family. And also I promised Marquise a week after he was killed, I had a dream. And he came in the dream and he told me Annie, don't give up on me. And I made him a promise that I won't. So I will continue to travel as much as I can physically to get his story out, and we will continue to fight to get his case reopened because he deserves that. All these cases deserve this. And to sit here and listen to all these same stories, everybody's story is almost identical. Where's the justice? Why do police why are they able just to kill us and not have any repercussions? And I found out later because the DAs need them. The DAs need them to make their cases with other cases. So if they testify against the police or indict a police officer, then they take the jeopardy of them closing in ranks and not testifying for their cases. But we need these DAs in there that will stand up and say enough's enough. Not because he raped somebody, oh, he's fired and we indicted him. What about murder? Because if I shot you in your back, I would have been arrested and charged with murder. Because I wasn't a threat to you. That's what they would say. And then qualified immunity needs to go. That needs to go because that is their protection. And also, I'm in fear of my life. How are you in fear of your life if someone is running away from you or going away from you or have no weapon and have their hands? That is what they're taught, and we need to change the narrative in the police academies. This is a fight that's like going to take years because they need changes. The change of how they train police officers, what they tell them to do, how to show caring on the street. If you got a mental case, why would you shoot someone that's having a mental episode? So my fight is not in the street anymore. My fight is in legislation now. We can yell and holler all we want to. They don't hear us no more out here. But when we go in these buildings now and to these capitals and testify on these bills, now you're going to hear us. And like I said on that stage, if we come together as a collective across this country and show out and show up to the White House or wherever, they don't have a choice but to hear us now. Because now we're not going anywhere. For one, we got videos, got social media. It's over. These cops, either these cities are going to start doing what we're demanding them to do, else guess what? You got to go, and we'll work with the next one. And if it's just got to be a cycle, that's what it's going to be. I'm sorry it took so long.
No. But you've been doing this now for
8 years.
8 years.
Yes, ma'am. Almost 8 years.
8 years. And so the big change is going to the legislature and the people who make the policy, really.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Rather than trying to sway public opinion.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you feel like
yes,
that's
ma'am.
more effective?
I even, with the Marquise's death, a lot of change, some changes, I'm not going to say a lot, happened within the city of San Antonio. One of my major requests was for the chief not to get on a police shooting and say the suspect this, the suspect that, because I talked to the officer, they told me this, and then you find out different when you look at the body cam and then want to come the next day and say, oh, it was not what it seemed to be. No, you've already set the narrative. Nobody's going to hear your apologies now. They've already made their conclusion of what this suspect is.
Well, let's say his name one more time.
Marquise Jones. Justice for Marquise Jones.
And one last thing, maybe we could do a short description of who he was that we lost.
He was a clown. He was a very caring person. He was my sister's only son, and she has a daughter. We get together for holidays, and he was the one that always coordinated dances and all this kind of stuff with the cousins. And we miss that. We miss him more than anybody will ever know.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. I know it's hard, but these stories will make a difference.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.